Welcome to the Belly Dance Stories podcast, a multimedia production directed by Alexandra Molina and Valerick Molinari.
You will hear inspiring conversations and learn about the ways belly dance has become a powerful channel of transformation in people's lives. Welcome, everybody, to the Belly Dance Stories podcast. My name is Alexandra.
And I'm Valerick.
We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be interviewing Valerick today about her special event that we just had called Love Affair. And yeah, I'm really excited to ask you so much more about Love Affair. This is an event that happens in Miami. And we will talk about the future in a little bit because there's some exciting things that you are planning. So, Val, how are you feeling about after this beautiful weekend? I want to start there. How are you feeling?
Oh my God. Oof, I'm getting emotional. Very grateful. Oh gosh. Very happy. Very proud. Como que my heart doesn't fit here anymore.
Oh my goodness. Feel it. Feel the feels.
Yeah.
It's very fresh.
It's very fresh.
You're still processing.
It's been a lot of work. This is my comeback. I stopped doing this event in 2019 and then the pandemic came. So a lot of things changed. My last event was very difficult, which was also the last time that I brought Esmeralda here. And for those of you that don't know, we did a B3 visa for her, meaning that I was the petitioner and we went through all the struggles of going and doing a process through immigration to bring this amazing artist. And that is a huge financial risk and a lot of work.
Yes, and we will ask you a little more about that later, but that is, I feel like that's the first thing that comes to mind.
And that's why it's so special because I did it in 2019 and we decided to do it again this year. And then, it's a comeback. This is the sixth time that I do the Love Affair. It started in 2015, I believe.
Yes, please tell us the story, the origin story of Love Affair and how that began.
Well, the Love Affair started actually by accident. I went through this disappointment with an Egyptian teacher that I used to love a lot and who I consider him like my father in the dance. And then one day he kicked me out of the class, which was very humiliating. And then I started this beautiful friendship with Simon. And in that moment, Simon told me, forget about it. You're going to come to Lebanon with me. And I just went to Lebanon. And in these trips, we took classes with a lot of people. We took classes with Amani of Lebanon, Sami Houdi. Simon kind of really exposed me to all the amazing teachers that he knows.
And for those who don't know Simon, who is Simon?
Simon, Lebanese Simon. Simon is a passionate, beautiful soul that is a dancer, choreographer also, and a mentor for a lot of us dancers, including yourself too. And Simon has been somebody that has come to the industry to basically put Lebanon in the map. Because a lot in the belly dance industry, it's really focused on Egyptian style. And one of the things that he's just trying to bring is hey, in Lebanon, there's also teachers, there's amazing artists, and you guys should learn about this, right? Because when we think about belly dance, mostly in the international scene, it's very focused in Egypt. And Egypt is amazing. Definitely some of the best dancers are there. Most of the music that we dance is from there. But also the Arab world, it's huge, it's humongous. There's other countries. So he comes to the scene and he noticed that there's certain countries that is missing, and one of them is Lebanon. And it's very interesting because here in the States, the biggest Arab diaspora that we have is actually Lebanese. And many of us here in Miami, I rarely get invited to perform in an Egyptian wedding. Most of the time I'm performing for Lebanese audiences. So he had a huge influence in me. So I went to Lebanon. I studied with all these amazing teachers, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to bring this back to Miami. These people need to know. And we started this partnership kind of like, okay, how we're going to be teaching now the students now that there's a whole world of information out there. And then at that moment, he was going to bring Pierre Haddad to the States, to the United States. I think he brought it first to the Houston Oriental Festival in 2014. And then he wanted to bring him again in 2015. And he told me, hey, since we're going to bring Pierre to the United States, why don't you have him in Miami? And the dates that he gave me were St. Valentine's Day. And I was like, well, Simon, how am I going to do it? I've never done an event. And how am I going to do it in St. Valentine's? Come on, everybody's going to be. And he's like, you could do like a Valentine's type of name. And I'm like, I don't know. But I kind of want to. I feel that he's so special. Like, he's so great. I feel Pierre is amazing. I think Pierre is a fascinating instructor with a beautiful style that rarely you see it out here. And then he's so generous. And anyway, I talked to Adriana Echeverri, which at the time I was working in Belly to Apps. And she was very important for me because Adriana was a person that when I started on Belly to Apps, she saw my potential and she's like, you can use the studio for whatever you want. You want to do an event, you want to do workshops, here is the place, just use it. So when I told to Adriana, well, they're offering me this opportunity and like, I don't know, it's St. Valentine's Day and whatever. And she told me, let's do it. I'll help you out. And let's call it Lebanese Love Affair. And I was like, whoa.
She helped you, or she came up with
she
that.
Came up with the name.
That's this idea.
She came
Lebanese
up with
Love Affair.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then
I didn't know that.
There was a beautiful studio next to Belly to Apps. She contacted the person, and like she really helped me a lot. Like she helped me. She didn't ask me for money or anything. She just wanted to see me win.
That's beautiful.
And also Simon too. And the challenge that I had when I brought Pierre for the first time is that we only had one video of him teaching, which I recorded with my iPad when I went to Lebanon because he didn't allow people to record him in class for obvious reasons. For those of you that don't know, there's the stigma also about the male belly dancer or the man dancing. So he didn't want to be disrespectful to his family because some people may take it very bad. And I convinced him, and between me and Simon, like, we need to put this video out here, out on the internet, so people can actually see what you have to offer. And that was very complicated.
How was it complicated?
It was complicated in the sense that a lot of people bully him, cyberbully him online. And it was very difficult for me because I, of course, went and market that thing like crazy. I share it like crazy. And then in some places of the Arab world, that video was heavily attacked. And he received personal attacks. His family received personal attacks. And I didn't knew about this until years later when I went to Lebanon and sat down with his daughters that they told me about it. And I was like, wow. But at the same time, he has also developed this beautiful dance career that he finished teaching in Al Wasahalan. He was, I think last year at Orlando Belly Dance Convention, and he continued growing a lot. And now he's the one who posts these videos, So it's been fascinating also to see that. I feel very proud that, we found this teacher and we were able to use our platforms for him to continue growing with his dance career outside of Lebanon in a more international and global way.
I feel a lot of people are not very much aware at the risks that sometimes producers take in bringing international dancers to the U.S. And we're a little spoiled, I think, in my opinion, in the U.S. But I feel there are risks that not a lot of people talk about. Many times it's not our place to even talk about it, but they are challenges to be aware of. And even to maybe, if you're thinking of bringing somebody internationally, to even ask them these questions. Are there taboos? Is there anything that I need to be aware of in bringing you? Is anything going to harm you, in your career? Because I don't want that to happen. And I feel that those questions could be missing in our industry.
Yes.
What do you think?
I mean, it's some of the complicated things about the culture and the context. So and we discussed this a little bit. We had a panel discussion also at the beginning of the event about baladi, and one of the things that
of this past love affair.
Okay. Yeah. And it was about male dancing and male belly dancing, and there's this also stigma sometimes in the Arab world that men cannot dance, even though you see them dancing in a very social, casual context. But doing Sharqi or Oriental or belly dance the way that we know it in the Western world, it's not necessary. It's not well seen, period. So in the case of him, even though I knew this, I was just thinking like, oh my God, but my students, the belly dance world need to see you. I didn't understood at the moment the type of, complications that would bring to his personal life. Thankfully, and this is when I started to realize that, I had a call for producing. The event did very well. I was very successful in my first event. We had a full house. Everyone fell in love with him. Like, it was really a Lebanese love affair, like for real. He was so loving, so giving. Any producer out there, if you want to bring Pierre Haddad, highly recommended. And we had a beautiful, beautiful event. Everybody loved him. The energy was on point, and we did very well. I did like a very simple weekend intensive. I think it was Saturday and Sunday. All my marketing was with love and hearts, because I was trying, okay, this is St. Valentine's, let's use the theme. And we had a little show, simple, but it was beautiful. And that's how the Lebanese Love Affair started. And after that, I'm like, well, I'm ready to bring another one of the instructors that I got there,
Fantastic.
And we'll continue progressing. The first 2 years, I brought Pierre. Then I brought Sami Houri. With Sami Houri was also the choreographer of a very famous Lebanese singer called Carol Samaha. And he was also very well trained. And he was also from the Lebanese folklore troupe called Karakala. He was excellent in Dabka. And one of the things that I was more fascinated, the reason why I really wanted to bring a lot of these artists is because when I was hearing their dance stories, I realized that Lebanon was a battlefield. It's still today. Right now, the political situation is really critical. And I was just fascinated with the way these artists decided to dance, and regardless of the critical situation that they were going through. Like, I remember Sami Houri telling me, I was going on my way to an audition, risking my life because my country was in the middle of a war. So they just didn't put their dreams on the side, even though the country was blowing apart. just to go and dance. And this was something that I wanted people to understand, that for us, we're very spoiled. Like you say, we decide to dance and we just go to class. For them, they have gone through other type of struggles. And then the third year, I decided that because the industry is very focused on Egypt, I also felt that there was a very strong relationship between Egypt and Lebanon in the development of the Raks Sharqi art form. And even Baria Basabni, which we consider her the grandmother of the dance, she was Syrian Lebanese. And then she just go to Cairo to do the Casino Opera. We have dancers like Nadia Gamal, which even though she was Egyptian, she will consider herself Lebanese because she developed her career in Lebanon. So with the third one, I was like, you know what, I want to call it Egyptian Lebanese Love Affair. And then I had Simon and Mohammed Kasafi. And it was my way also to get those dancers that were more interested in Egypt to understand that these two countries, they also have like a love affair. They have like this beautiful relationship, artistic relationship. And I wanted to use the event as a way to also educate dancers in different ways of training. So part of the platform of producing the Love Affair was always to bring artists that were not necessarily as accessible in the festival circuits, and to have the opportunity to train with them in a more intimate setting. So I only brought probably 2 instructors at the same time. But the idea is that you get the opportunity to really understand the pedagogy of that instructor, what are their perspectives of the dance, and for you to go more in depth. I didn't want to have any type of distraction with shows or vendors, and I just wanted it just to focus on them. And then the 4th year, I decided to bring the Brazilian dancer Soraya Sayed, which was like the first time she also came to Miami. And then I realized, you know what, the term Lebanese, I don't know if it fits so well right now with my intentions as a producer. But Soraya was also a perfect example of somebody that fell in love with the culture through the dance. And Soraya also, just like Esmeralda Colabone, which is my last artist, they come from Brazil. And Brazil has the biggest Lebanese diaspora. And I found it very fascinating because I've always been very interested between the relationship between the Arab and the Latin world. And for them, they were a good example. And also, one of the things that the Love Affair had as a mission was to highlight artists that had a career in the Arab world, that made their name in the Arab world, because I think that's
a different shift, because a lot of them get their name in the Western world and outside of their countries. That's difficult. That's rare to find, or I'm not sure. I feel that's more rare to find those types of artists.
Yeah. And then, because I feel like a lot of, like, for example, the name of like Randa Camel. Randa, it's a name that she became popular in the Western circuit. She's not one of those. She doesn't have the popularity of Dina has in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that she's good or bad. That's what it is. But I wanted to bring the name of artists that were working in that context. And Soraya was one of them. And with Soraya, I had also the opportunity that the Egyptian designer Saharo Kasha came with her. It was the only time that I had like a vendor. I'm like, oh my God, Saharo Kasha, this is great. And then after that, I decided, you know what, I really want to bring Esmeralda in 2019. And I went to her bio and I realized that she has worked in Lebanon in other Arab countries. And I'm like, okay, I reached out to her and I'm like, hey, I want to bring you to Miami. This is 2018, whatever. And she told me, well, I had done a tourist visa. Like, I don't have a visa to enter to the U.S. She had done a tourist visa and that was denied in the past. So that was really bad So if we wanted to bring her under a tourist visa, that was going to be a huge risk because she has already been denied. And then I had a really good friend, which is Priscilla Diniz. She's an immigration lawyer, and I just asked her for her advice, and she told me, well, this is going to be the amount of money that, that it will cost a visa, which with the intervention with the lawyer, we're talking about a minimum of $5,000. And then she told me, this is what it is, but if you really feel that is this the first time that she comes to the U.S. and she has this popularity, maybe it's worth the investment. And I contacted Esmeralda, and in my madness and my courage and my passion,
your ambition,
and my ambition, I'm like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. I took a loan to pay for that visa. And then we opened registration. Registration went bananas, like I have never seen it before. And even this weekend, Esmeralda, I was talking to her about that because it took me like good 7 years to pay that loan full.
Risks that producers take and trust.
Yeah. I just wanted it to do it, and I know many producers understand that you get and you produce an event, and then you realize that you want to give so much that you really don't care about if money comes in. You really don't care. You just want to do it. But I'm like, okay, let's do this. I'm going to take the loan to pay the lawyer and pay the visa, okay? And then I'm going to keep the registration. I'm not going to touch it. In case I'm not able to get the visa, I will still have the money to refund it. And in the past, I have seen events where artists don't come. We had that situation happen here in Miami. So I didn't want to be that producer that wait until the last minute to tell people, hey, we couldn't make it. Like, I wanted it to do this in a very responsible way. And once you start doing the visa, I thought that because I had a lawyer, it's going to be easier. It's not. It's a lot of work. A lot of paperwork, not only on my side, but also on the side of the instructor. When you go through the immigration process in the United States, basically the V3 visa, you have to prove to the government that this artist is so amazing and so extraordinary that no one in the U.S. can do what she does. So you gotta prove that. We gotta send and create like a presentation of her that included all the places that she has visited, all those flyers, a list of every event she has been a judge. Okay? By time and year, we need to prove that she is something else. And that's on her. That's on her. Documentation, certification of dance classes, all of that. They even ask for the school registration of Katarina, her daughter, her all type of personal paper. We needed to have letters of recommendation of other experts, and it was a lot of work.
How long did this process take for this one to come around, this recent 2024?
Okay. Because we had the visa approved in 2019, we were hopeful that the process was going to be easier. But this is the thing that I want other producers to keep in mind. Every case is independent. Okay? So before we started doing the visa with her, we have to check how is the traffic of the visas in Sao Paulo. So for example, if I was trying to bring a dancer from Mexico, I would need like 5 years, because right now the Mexican embassy, they're so packed that they're not giving you appointments in 2 years from now. So you gotta kind of like understand what is the political situation between the United States and that country, okay? And this is the other thing. Immigration tells you in the website that they could do it in a process of 3 months. That is not necessarily accurate. It could be 3 months to 2 years. Like there's no way that they can confirm you that you're gonna get approved in a certain amount of time. However, they do have express how do you say it
Procedure?
procedure,
Express.
yeah, that will cost $3,000 to $4,000 more. So you could get it approved faster, but it's gonna get very expensive if you take in consideration that you have to pay fees to the consulate, to immigration, to the lawyer. Plus, if you want to do it express, it's gonna get expensive. So we're talking about that if you want to do a visa express, easily 10 grand, easily. That doesn't include the salary of the artist, the airplane ticket, the hotel, the accommodation, and all the expenses that requires creating an event.
So you are now an expert lawyer.
Yes, yes, yes. So this time around, the lawyer told me, Priscilla, she's like, if you want to be invest in this, we can ask for a longer visa. Let's just try to connect with other organizers so she can travel different ways. That way, it's worth the effort, and that's what we did. And I think it was a better plan because that way she doesn't come only to Miami. She has the opportunity to tour in different parts of the U.S. And
Right. You were also thinking of the artist as well, and that's a big thing, and it's
That's a
very
big
important to do that for the artist because they're the ones who are giving and delivering and studying and bringing all of their experience. And yes,
even though I'm the petitioner, which I could get very greedy and be like, she's only gonna be working with me, and like it's only gonna be me doing all this. I don't have time to do that, but I also want her to win. And this is something that I'm gonna say also to all producers out there, that sometimes we get way too possessive with our artists. Like you gotta understand that if you are gonna be bringing an artist and then you are gonna be doing all this marketing for them, they're gonna get invitations even from people from your own city. It's gonna happen, and that's great. That means that there's more people interested in them. So let them go. Let them go to those other places. I didn't used to think like this before. You know, I used to be very possessive this. So I already kind of like passed the page.
what changed that?
Because it's not worth it if you can't. And this is because I'm also a touring artist, and I have lost a lot of work also through this, where people were like, they brought me, and there's somebody else from that city that wants to bring me, and then the organizers say, yeah, I want to bring you again, I just don't know when, and then you just lost that city and you just lost that money, you know, because
That doesn't feel good.
no, because it's like, man, you know, how many times I was loyal to an organizer and they never brought me again, and I just lost the opportunity to connect with other dancers and another audience. So that's something that you need to understand, that when you're producing an event and you are putting an artist out there, that artist is gonna get a lot of invitations. And like, how do you gonna manage that? Yeah, that's part of the process. If the artists grow, you grow also as a producer, which means that if the artist goes to another city that is close to you, then when you bring it back, then it's better because the artist has already connected with other artists. And yes, you gotta be loyal to the people that help you out. But I think it's important to have those uncomfortable conversations. And we as a producers need to understand that also being an artist is very difficult. And they only have a period of time, for example, like performing artists. Like, you're not going to be able to perform the entire time like that. the artist is going to preserve their youth for a certain amount of time. So you have to let them also grow, like you cannot get that greedy.
Yes.
You cannot get that possessive.
That's very important to think of. Yes.
And people will use your marketing. When you produce events and you're highlighting an artist, I think that's one of the things that I learned to do since Pierre Haddad. Like when I brought Pierre, when I brought Sammy, I had to tell the story about these artists.
You had to get very creative with those because they did not have a touring background. So you, as a producer, you had to get very creative, right? And
yes.
How was that process of coming up with that marketing out of nowhere? Basically?
Out of nowhere. Like I had to dissect that biography. And like with them, it was like Pierre started blah, 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 blah with this. And then I asked Pierre and his daughter, send me all the pictures from this time so I can have the evidence too. So you have to develop that interest in people. It's not that to put, master instructor, come here and be a master instructor and blah, 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 blah. Those are empty words. Like, what am I going to be obtaining in this event? What am I going to gain that it's special? And that requires from you as a producer to kind of like, okay, I have to think about this. Like,
so the creativity actually came from research first. You had to research first, gather all your information, ask questions that probably no other producer was really asking at the time from these artists. And then you had to assess all the cards in front of you.
Exactly. You got to build them up. Like, for example, a dancer like Jelena, I don't have to do anything. Everybody knows Jelena. Everybody have seen her work. So I just put her poster. Yeah, but when it's not like an unknown teacher to the community, you got to be the storyteller, which I really enjoy. I really enjoy. And it's I think a lot of the success of an event relies on the producer. I have seen producers bring in the best, most popular dancers, and they don't have quorum. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the producer also has to do not only building the event, but also what are the relationships that producer has with that community to be able to be a magnet to bring everybody coming in. So it's not only that you have to have the most popular instructor, is that you could have the most popular instructor, but if you're a producer that is not out there talking one-on-one with people, sitting down with people, you're not gonna make it. When I started doing the Love Affair, I sat down with many of the dancers in Miami and I asked them, and I took them out for dinner without freaking money. I didn't have money back then. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this event. I want you to be part of it. I want the event to highlight Miami dancers. When I was creating the closing gala, right, which at the time it was called the Love Affair Showcase, I want to present, I think you will be the best person to present this type of work. I want you to be part of it. I want you, like, I include them. They were not audience for me. They were part of like the main stars. I will tell them, I want Pierre to see you. And that's how I got the support that I got from my colleagues.
Let's talk a little bit about the flash forward to this past Love Affair. Mm-hmm. Before I ask you, I have two questions. But before I ask you the creative evolution of Love Affair from Lebanese Love Affair to Love Affair, which there was some in-betweens. But before we get there, now that we're on the topic of community and cultivating the network that you have, because of course, this doesn't pop out of thin air. This comes with a lot of research, as you've been telling us, a lot of focus power on and scouting of the artists who are in your environment. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you faced in this Love Affair and the community and how you got the community engagement and if there was some sort of difference now that you have had a gap of 5 years?
Yeah. This has been, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's been a gap. Yeah, 5 years of difference. I want to say that in the past, I had belly to abs too. I had a studio that was the house of many of the top dancers in Miami backing me up. Okay, so that makes things easier because I'm going every day to the studio, so I'm seeing my dance sisters all the time, every week. Now we're all separated, teaching in our own bubbles. The community has changed a lot. We don't even have the dance studios that we used to have before here, right? So this is the first time in the love affair where I don't feel too much presence of Miami. It's the first time. And it's the first time where I feel that easily 75 of my registration was from people outside.
75%.
Yes, of my registration for this event was from people outside of Miami. That was never the case before. Never. I even remember 2 weeks before the event, 1 week before the event, girl, on Wednesday, I got a registration from Washington. Florencia, I love you. 2 weeks before the event, I had a registration from California. I never saw, like, I didn't have that boost of registration of Miami that I'm like, okay, the people from Miami are going to come later. Like, I didn't have them. I was also doing the event on Labor Day weekend. So I also understand that this is a weekend where a lot of dancers also are going out of town. But I did have very special people in my event from Miami. Like, I had you, Amara, I had Kelly Rodriguez, I had Bea, and boy, do you guys support me.
Yes, we do. We love you.
Oh my God.
We also love each other. So.
We love each other, yeah. So it's kind of like, I'm like, okay, I was expecting more of the dancers of Miami to be part of it, but it's okay. I don't take it personal, honestly. I'm like, okay, it happens. I felt very loved by my community, but these are also relationships that I keep nurturing, right? Through belly dance stories, for me participating in their events, keeping that engagement with them the entire time, When the event comes, I just feel the event just becomes a platform for me to hold hands with you guys and like be stronger together. It was the first time because in the past I did those encounters, but this time when I noticed that I didn't have the people of Miami 2 weeks before the event, and I know many of you guys, if you guys see this, like it was 10 p.m. and I was sending voice messages, personal messages to every dancer in Miami, even the ones that I didn't knew. 101. I had two free community events. I had a panel discussion with FIU and Hanan Arts, which for me that was one of the most exciting things, and I really wish more dancers and performers from Miami would have come.
That was a great panel.
It was a great panel.
Stars. You are all stars.
And we recorded, so it's gonna be there online. But I really wish more dancers from Miami would have come because it was so rich. I have people like Khadija, an ethnographer. I don't know how many times in my life I've met an ethnographer.
Once,
and she was so amazing and so giving. And we have Fedra Darwish, which is also a musician, and then we have the partnership with FIU. I mean, one of the most important academic institutions in Florida. And then I'm very thankful to Hanan, which is like, okay, maybe I don't have the support of the dancers, so maybe I have Hanan.
You have very rich and specific
supports. Rich and specific. And I had also the welcome party, which was also like in Savage Labs. So I reached out, I sent messages. I was very well received. People answered me. Some people didn't answer me. And that's okay. But I did that work because I wanted my community to enjoy and expose themselves. I wanted my dance community to also network because it's not only about coming to train with her. It's like like there's all these fabulous people coming. Like, I want them to see you. That's the reason why I was inviting those dancers. And it was so interesting because I thought that was so beautiful. In the closing gala, you and Kelly were talking with Emily of Ohio.
My dream to meet this woman.
Yes, because she has studied with you, right, for DAPCA?
Yes, but also we're both artists and we connected over COVID, and she has one of my paintings and, whatever. Just, I love her posts and I love her videos, and what she says online is very, very powerful and engaging. So yeah, it was great. The networking part, I feel like a lot of people don't take advantage of festivals and meet each other and talk to each other. I told my students the 3 that I had with me this time for this festival, I told them, look, there are going to be so many people from out of town. Please go up to them, say hi, introduce yourself, ask them where they're from, because this is your opportunity to make friends from out of town. And they did, and they had a blast. And I saw other people doing very similar things, and I think that one of the beautiful things about belly dance festivals is that you can do that.
It's so beautiful to meet other lovers from other places that you see online, right? And like, oh my God, I can finally see you in person, connect, and like, and you feel inspired.
Yes.
It has an effect of really inspire you.
And I remember you mentioning to me about, even though the Miami community maybe not have, or at least some of them maybe not have come or attended or supported in a way, but you felt supported from your other networks outside of Miami. Oof. Tell us a little bit about that.
Listen, oh my goodness, I'm not gonna cry. Okay. I told you, like, I felt this event was my best one. First of all, my favorite, because every connection I have made through my dance journey, I plugged them all. Like an extension that you just plug them all around me. And I had my first teacher coming to the event, and her daughter was the one helping me with the marketing. Like, I saw that girl, I hold that baby. And she was the one taking pictures. And the reason why that page is also so active right now is because of Vicky and Loaya. Loaya, which is actually the co-producer and like the one that helps me to organize this event, was probably my first belly dance business partner back in PR. And she's also the neighbor of my dad. So we have like this tight relationship where, we met on the dance floor. It's a beautiful belly dance story, by the way. We met on the dance floor, and from there we have continued growing our friendship. And now she's the one that it's really next to me, helping me with the event. I had a lot of people that I have met through my dance journey. I had a lot of the ladies from Drink Camp, which is one of my favorite events that I do with Aziza in Montreal. I have a lot of the artists that have participated with us at Belly Dance Stories. I had Kansaman, the place where I perform every Saturday, coming to the panel discussion and sponsoring the food. Like Ali, I was very grateful to have the support of Ali. I had Alex, which is a new relationship that I'm developing here with the city of Opaloca, that are creating the first Mina festival here in Florida, coming to the event, which I wanted for him for a long time to connect with you and Amara and a lot of the artists, so we could actually start participating in that event, and that's actually happening.
So beautiful. Success.
So it was very beautiful. Emily was my sponsor in Ohio. And there was a huge community from Texas. I have Vanessa from Texas here. I had Keishi Shai. And let me tell you about Keishi Shai. Keishi saw me in New York when I first did my first presentation out of Puerto Rico in New York when I used to go to the week-longs that Yusri and Nurhan Sharif used to do. I was 18 years old, and she saw me the first time I performed ever with live music. And every time I see her, I just remember her because she always said to me, I always remember the first time I saw you dancing. And like the fact that a person like Casey with such a long career in the dance, was there. She came to the event to train with Esmeralda, and also like Vanessa. I was like, wow, like.
So you had a very successful group of experts coming to this event. And they were taking classes. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that was like, like a confirmation that it's not about the number too, it's about, wow, if people of this level are taking out of their time to come and study with the artists that I am bringing, like, it's like, for me as a producer, it's like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted it to create. Yeah.
You chose an artist, not really taking the risk, of course, not knowing obviously what was really going to happen, but still you trusted that gut, you trusted her. And I'm really excited. We're going to have another podcast with Esmeralda. So we'll talk more about your belly dance story and love affair. But you had a lot of support, and that's a big success and a huge door opening for you. That was open, but now it's filled with so much more light. Tell us, you want to say one more thing?
Yeah, I stopped doing the event, and this one was particularly special because I did it for 5 years, and I was very passionate, but it took everything out of me. The last time that I did the Love Affair, I was actually happy when the pandemic started because I was like, I had worked for 5 years straight on the event, and it was so hardcore. I'm still an artist too. And like 2 weeks before this event, I went into a mental crisis. Like, I'm like, oh my God, why am I doing this?
Did you have PTSD?
Oh yeah, because it's great to have Casey Shai and Vanessa coming, but the pressure that you feel, you're like, oh shit, now I have to do like a really good event, Now I need her to teach like super good. Now that comes with pressure too. And because the event also grew, we also had a great registration. We were talking about 60 people taking classes. I'm like, oh my God, I had to take care of 60 people for 3 days and do a welcome party and like, oh. And like my other production was Belly Dance Stories. For me, Belly Dance Stories, it feels so nurturing. It's so nice. We work on the stories, but it goes into a different pace, and it's only one day. Even though it's a long time pre-production, but the final is just only one day. For this, it's like, wow, she arrives on Tuesday. Like, I have to take care of my artists. It comes with more responsibilities.
It's back to back.
It's back to back. But this year, I had a great team. Like, Loaya was amazing. I had my boyfriend and her boyfriend also helping us out. Like, I had a team that I was able. But prior to the event, I was feeling very, very stressed out, very doubtful. I'm like, why did I get on this again? Like, but today I'm like, oh my God, it's so worth it.
It was worth it. It was worth it. Tell us a little more about the creative evolution of Love Affair, and the reasons why you changed the names and the rebranding. And so tell us a little of the creative evolution and the rebranding of Love Affair.
Okay, so we were in the process of talking about this since August of 2023.
Last year.
Okay. And then October 7 happened. And then it seems like the war was going to spread to Lebanon. And then I was like in this crisis of like, oh my God, I feel like right now I have to bring, like if I'm going to produce an event, I have to be very thoughtful about the political situation that we're going through. First of all, I got extremely depressed with the situation in Palestine. I didn't post anything about this because the grieving was so hardcore that I didn't want to do anything. Dancing felt weird. And I had a lot to process too. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to produce understanding what's going on right now in the world? So in that moment, I'm like, I'm not going to use the word Lebanon. Like, she's not Lebanese. I'm not gonna use this national term and profit out of something that, right now I don't feel is correct. So I had like a moment of crisis where I'm like, I don't know if this is correct to do it right now. And then I started to kind of like understanding, like, with all the discussions that were going online, and I'm like, okay, Valerick, what was the reason why you did the love affair in the beginning? It's because you want to give back the focus there. Like you want for people to understand that this dance belongs to these people. So the love affair changed now to be an event where we just fell in love with belly dance, but at the same time, we fell in love with the people of the culture. And that's how I'm like, let's change it to love affair. And then she's the perfect example of the integrity that we need to have when it comes to practicing this art form. You can't be practicing this art form and having this, how do you say it, detachment of the culture. But I didn't want it to do that in a way of pointing out people. I wanted it to do it through example. And that's something that was, I feel, in the way Esmeralda taught this week. She continuously say it in the storytelling. I learned this from this. I give my credit to this culture, to this teacher, and that's how we finish from being Lebanese love affair to love affair. Like it's about you. It's a reunion, a meeting, a gathering of people that are in love with the art of Sharqi, and therefore they also fell in love with the culture and the people of the culture. And that's the real meaning behind doing these workshops, is for dancers to have more cultural awareness and sensibility with the way that they practice dance, and bringing dancers, like for example, my two last events that I had foreigner dancers like Soraya and Esmeralda. For me, they're perfect example on how we outsiders of the culture need to practice this with respect and integrity, and always giving back to the culture.
What is the future of Love Affair?
The future of the Love Affair, I still don't know. I have a lot to process this week. I want to give back more to the culture. I'm right now in a way of like having certain conversations, including Ali. I want more live music like we had it before. I would like more participation or get it a little bit closer to the Arab community, and create and find ways in which I can also support some of the Arab businesses that we have here in Miami. Like I was very happy that some of the participants were to Layali, Miami, which is a very cool spot here. And that's something that I am right now, thinking like how can I also support the Arab businesses that we have here in Miami with the Love Affair. I love Miami to do the Love Affair because I think one of my archetype for doing the Love Affair were the week-longs that used to participate in New York, which were amazing. And Nurhan and Yusri Sharif used to do this 6 days week-long. Oh my God, I would love it. One day like that. And it was 6 hours of classes every day in this old studio in New York that you could feel the history in that place. But then it was also New York, like a very inspiring place for the arts. We're going to bring Esmeralda to Puerto Rico, which I'm also very interested because it's a different destination that I think it's appealing for people to know that you can travel to a very exotic, nice place that you have never seen, enjoy the classes, but at the same time feel like you're in a vacation. And then we do have more surprises for Miami. I just don't want to say it, but we have Esmeralda coming back with another amazing musician.
We'll keep it as a secret.
We'll keep it as a secret.
Stay on your toes, everyone.
Stay on your toes.
Stay on your hips.
Yeah.
Stay on demi point.
But I think from now on, what I'm thinking, the Love Affair could be something that could happen biannual. I started to come back actually through very like little events. Like I brought David Calderon. I had an event also with Simon. So I still want to do like little mini workshops that doesn't require that much. And that I love it because they're intimate. So we're able to kind of like have 25 people do like a badass class and then let's just go and have fun together. And so I still want to do those mini intensive workshops. But yeah, that's where I am standing right now. I'm in a process of like absorbing, digesting. I'm going to go traveling now and like relax for a little bit and
as you deserve it.
As I deserve
it.
You
deserve it. You deserve that break and that boundary of personal and professional.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Val, for sharing more about Love Affair and a lot of maybe we didn't know. Maybe some of us didn't know about the history of Love Affair and what the belly dance story is of that one. So thank you so much for bringing these amazing artists and for having such a beautiful and intimate experience for all of us.
Thank you, guys.
We want to thank our sponsors, Orlando Belly Dance Convention, HGAB Studios, Maison de Mosaics, and The Peacemaker for this podcast between Love Affair and Belly Dance Stories.
And remember that September 23rd, we start our amazing performance development lab. And you can follow us at Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple so you can see more information about our podcast and all the amazing things we're bringing to you.